A waiter at a local restaurant wants to know if she gets better tips working weekends, Saturday and Sunday, compared to working weekdays. She decides to take a sample of her tips over the course of a couple months and comes up with the following statistics. So the weekend is here and the weekdays is here. We want to test the waitress's hypothesis with a level of significance 0.05. So I'm going to say mu1 is basically the average tips for weekend. Weekend shifts. And then mu2 is the average tips for weekdays. Now we're going to write the null and alternative hypothesis. The null hypothesis is a statement of no change, so the average tips from weekend is the same as the average tips from weekdays. The alternative hypothesis, the waitress's hypothesis, is the average tips from the weekend is greater than the average tips from the weekdays. Now we're going to test the hypothesis. Since we are comparing two populations here, we're going to go to the Master Excel workbook and we're going to go to hypothesis testing for two means. Now, we're going to put the information from the weekend in sample number 1 and from the weekdays in sample number 2. You have to keep that the same, aligned. If you do mu1 is the average tips from weekdays, you have to put sample 1 here and sample 2 here, which is going to change the type of test as well. So be consistent with everything. We know that X bar from the weekend, the sample mean or the average tips from weekends is $146 with a standard deviation of $31. And the waitress collected data from 22 weekends. So that is 22 weekends right there, which is the sample size. Sample 2, we're going to work with weekdays. The average is 128 X bar. The standard deviation is $48. And the sample size is 46 weekdays. And then alpha is equal to 0.05. That is the significance level. And the type of test is the right tail test, which is greater than. So I'm going to choose greater than here. Now, the p-value is 0.03856 or 0.03402. Either one would work. And then the test statistic is 1.1859. So I'm going to go here. I'm going to say the test statistic is equal to 1.1859, rounded to 4 decimals. The p-value, you can use either, so I'm going to say either or, 6 or 0.03402. The conclusion, I'm going to go to the sheet again and look at the conclusion. The conclusion is right here, which is rejecting the null hypothesis, which means we do have sufficient evidence to support the waitress's claim that she makes better tips on weekends. So reject the null hypothesis. This means the sample provides sufficient evidence to support the claim, the waitress's claim. That she makes better tips working weekends. So that is question number 10.